Good afternoon to this Saturday afternoon, and we welcome all to this program. This is Dr. Sudha, heading the medical team of TalkMode Health Technologies, and introducing you to this novel initiative of TalkMode, that is GAPSULE. And today we have, this is a third in the series, and today we are having an eminent panel with us who is going to share their experience, their perspective in this area. So I would like to introduce the allied speakers. So first we have Dr. Jaideep Malhotra, Dr. Mangesh Tiwaskar, and Dr. Philip Abraham, who is going to share the experience and the perspective in this area today. So we are really glad to have you all doctors for this talk. So Dr. Jaideep Malhotra is MD, FICOG, FICS, FIUMB, FICMCH, FMAS, FRCP, FRCOG. She is chair FIGO Committee of Reproductive Endocrinology and Infertility and a managing director of ART Rainbow IVF. She is also the Vice President, Indian Society of Aesthetic and Regenerative Gynecology, immediate past President, South Asian Federation of Menopause Society and ISPAT, Regional Director, South Asian and Donald School of Ultrasound, Professor Dubrovnik, International University, Croatia, and she's a past member of FIGO Working Group on RDEH, member of Accountability Group of PMNCH, Editor-in-Chief, SAFOG and SAFOMS journals, and many books. She is also the President, Rotary Club of Agra Grace, past President, FOGSI, ISAR, Aspire IMS, past Secretary and Vice Chairman, ICOG, and also she has received a Lifetime Achievement Award by ISRF. Welcome you, ma'am, for this discussion.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, ma'am. Another eminent speaker that we have today is Dr. Mangesh Tiwaskar, sir. Welcome, sir. And she's MD Medicine, FRCP from London, Glasgow, Edinburgh, Ireland, FACP, FICP, FGSI, FDI, and Diploma in Advanced Diabetology from Denmark. He's a consultant physician and diabetologist at Karuna Hospital and Shilpa Medical Research Center, Mumbai. He's a General Secretary of Association of Physicians of India, Indian College of Physicians, and Physician Research Foundation. He is into the advisory committee member of American College of Physicians and an editorial board member of Journal of Associations of Physicians of India and consulting editor of World Journal of Anemia. Welcome you, sir, for this discussion and glad to have you, sir, as a panelist today. And of course, Dr. Philip Abraham, sir, welcome you. Sir is MBBS, MD, General Medicine, FCPS, General Medicine, DNB gastroenterologist, consultant gastroenterologist at Hinduja Hospital, Mumbai. His area of interest is general medicine and gastroenterology. His achievements is Unichem Leadership in Gastroenterology, 1986, API Shurveer Singh Visitor Professorship, 1998. He is ISG Professor and Madan Gopalan Award for Best Plenary Session Paper in 1998. He's been affiliated to API, ISG, Gastroenterology Research Society, Indian Academy of Gastroenterology, Indian Association for the Study of Liver, Fellow College of Physicians and Surgeons of Bombay. Thank you, sir, to have you in this panel, and we are glad to have such eminent speakers today. So I hand over the session to Dr. Tiwaskar, sir, to start moderating and help us guide throughout the session. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Sudha. That was wonderful. And I really, truly appreciate the entire effort. Good afternoon, my fellow faculties, and good afternoon, friends. And thanks for spending your afternoons with me and my team. As you know, that so much of eminence and I would say the gems of the current medicine and the medical science are with us. And I would like to be very selfish when I will be discussing about a very innovative, a very novel concept, probably which hardly few of the pharmas or even the medical platforms have tried to address. This is that how to address the gap of knowledge dissipation, which has happened over a period of last couple of years due to COVID pandemic. Now we witnessed a very bad COVID pandemic and it has created a lot of deficiencies and gaps. so many areas in our society. But as far as medical fraternity is concerned, our usually at the peripheries, usually at the tier 2, tier 3 cities, where the places are remote, where we are not able to reach, the sole source of their updation of knowledge used to be the pharma company or pharma mediated educational helps that they used to get. But due to COVID, we all are aware about it. There is a knowledge gap which has been created. And this knowledge gap terminology is now almost, I would say, ubiquitous. Everybody is aware about this. So I would like to have your opinion, both Dr. Jaideep Malhotra ma'am and also Dr. Philip Abraham sir, on how do you narrow this gap which has been widely open. And I have few questions which have been already there, designed by the team. Of course, we will also welcome the viewers to put their questions in the question and answer box, and we will be very happy to take these questions. And my sincere suggestion to all the viewers is this, that this is one of the best times to catch these two geniuses, the gentle geniuses that we have on our platform. So my first question, I'll start with the woman power, ma'am Jaideep Malhotra. And let me tell you that, ma'am, I had also fortune of working with FOGSI as a team as far as the anemia panel is concerned recently. And in fact, we had
Wonderful.
a very good time, developing the guidances and all that for
Yeah.
management of anemia, especially in the fertile age group of the women, right from the schools to even up to the post-menopausal ages. That was a wonderful time working with FOGSI that time. I really appreciate your participation in this forum also. So my first question is this, that madam, this knowledge gap is such a popular term. Now, in case, if you could really help me in understanding the term, what is this knowledge gap actually means, and what is this relational gap or a relationship gap, how it is related to a knowledge gap. What is your experience on that? And is it a different thing, or these are two synonymous things which go together as far as the dissipation of knowledge and the information to the community as a whole?
I think as it comes to me, these are two very different things because it's important for us to understand that when we're looking at this, I mean, I'm now sort of a little prejudiced in the sense that I am thinking that this is basically aimed at pharma organization or organizing itself, and we need to sort of, as practitioners, give them some insights and also have in our thought process also organized in a way. So this is basically with that thought process in mind, because I am in a tier 2 city, but maybe have always been preparing lectures and giving talks and training, and also sometimes I don't feel that knowledge gap. But the knowledge gap, when I look at pharma perspective, then I feel very much the gap there, because
Yes,
there are hundreds and hundreds of pharma companies who are making the same drug, with
yes,
one company making has three divisions making the same drug with a different name. And I feel I cannot at this age remember all the salts and all the names. So I will only remember what I have remembered initially, or maybe some medical rep has come and struck a chord somewhere and I remember the product which he or she introduced. So
correct,
this is something like, because I understand that pharma, they cannot teach us anything which is clinical. But yes, the pharmaceutical compositions and other things, these are the knowledge. But there's another very important aspect which I am happy you brought in is relational gap, because now I want to give you my perspective.
right,
On any day, without any appointment, like tens and 15s of medical representatives will line outside any doctor's door. You think you or I or anybody else can remember the products which they are
products,
introducing, the way they are introducing? It is next to impossible. The moment they go out, it goes out of my mind also.
correct,
Now, what is it that I will remember? I will remember the person, the way sometimes he or she has brought up a product, the way he or she has presented, and maybe he has developed a relation with me. in a particular way. Let's say supported, I have adopted a village somewhere. They are supporting anemia correction in that village. Yes, it's a relation which I have built up, and the product also is related to me. So this is something which I feel these are two very different things. But another very important aspect, like somebody who's sitting in the village, as you were saying, now for that person, this pharma representative may be a source of knowledge provision also.
Yes,
so I totally don't agree with it, because I don't feel, it's like you want to just show what you want to show, and I don't think that is evidence based.
Right. So primarily the whole concept probably is this, that these two, medical knowledge gap and the relationship gap, are two different areas, two different things, and maybe that it can be addressed completely differently, if I'm understanding your answer correctly, ma'am. And secondly is this, that yes, still, where there are, places where you are not able to reach, even though the technology is revolutionized, internet has reached almost everything, but quite a few times, lot of doctor community is still yet to become techno savvy, or how to smartly use the technology is also a basic need of the understanding and education. Now, till the time our community becomes aware about the smart use of technology, probably this knowledge gap that we probably experience as far as the medical community is concerned will be always through some educational support, either in a form of information or their educational partnerships in the programs which happen either face to face meetings or as the webinars. And also that these links or this material which is there either is provided by the pharma company to the doctor at the periphery, or see to it that the pharma companies help to understand people technology better and help them to join these kind of platforms very well. Am I right, ma'am? Is it exactly what what you probably wanted to say?
Yes.
Right. Now I'll come to Abraham sir now, and I'll tell you that as far as Abraham sir is concerned, my humble respects to him. It's synonymous with gastroenterology in Mumbai as far as I am concerned, and I'm in Mumbai. Thanks to all his bestows of pearls of knowledge and teachings that he has conferred on all of us during our student days, has made us stand wherever we are. And I'm really very, very happy and feel very honored to share dais with Dr. Abram sir. And sir, I want to ask you that question, that probably the continuation of the same question, that what are the main consequences of knowledge gap, and does it really affect medical community versus patient community? I want to have your opinion on that.
Okay. Of course, I largely agree with everything that Dr. Malhotra said, but I want to make some distinction between what is knowledge gap and what is information gap. Let's understand that the pharma industry, because we are now talking in the context of what has happened with the pandemic, has it taken pharma and the profession, the industry and the profession further apart? Is there any connection between them? What kind of relationship is happening between them? This is the context or the background in which we are talking now. Let's understand what each profession needs from the other. What do doctors need from an industry, and what does industry need from doctors? I'll take it from the industry viewpoint. Ultimately, it's all about commerce. Industry wants to give us information that is beneficial to them. Even when they support the profession, the medical profession in any activities, whether it's webinars or whatever activity, electronic or otherwise, there is a hidden agenda that they want their product to sell, which is not a crime, because that's why they are in business, and because they are in business, we can continue. Okay, so they ultimately want to give us information about their products. We want knowledge. And we are not getting it from the pharma industry. Now, when I'm talking about it, I'm talking from Dr. Malhotra's and my viewpoint or my perspective, that being in educational institutions, being in cities where you have access to knowledge at the drop of a hat, and you can just click it and you get the information you want, and it's up to you to convert that to knowledge. We really don't need the pharma industry to give us knowledge. And I don't think it's even on their agenda to transmit knowledge to doctors. I'll give you another perspective to that. Okay, so they want to give us information. We need that information because we need that in day-to-day practice. So we, as a professional, do not need knowledge from them, but there is a caveat to this, like Professor Malhotra mentioned. There is still a segment of the medical profession that is dependent on pharma to give them information that they can convert to knowledge.
Correct.
People who do not have access to various sources of information, which is now a minority because everybody has a computer, everybody has net connection. And I can't think of any part of India, any corner of India where this is not available. But yes, in a busy practice, maybe in family practice where you're loaded with patients from morning to evening, you look to that half an hour or 1 hour that you have with the medical reps to tell you about new products. And from there, you work backward and find out what are the developments based on. So they convert information to knowledge in a retrograde way. So there is a segment of medical practitioners who are dependent on getting information to build up their knowledge. And pharma industry is interested in giving us that information for their gains. So I don't know whether we can use the word knowledge gap to talk about the gap existing between pharma and the profession, although a segment of the profession uses information to convert to knowledge.
Yeah, perfect.
That gap is where we are today.
Yeah, so perfect. So this was what for the doctors, but does it is how it can be even affecting the patient, sir?
Okay, I'll take that question again. As far as we are concerned, those of us who are fortunate to be in tertiary centers and grade 1 cities or grade 2 cities, who have access to everything we want to, and who are also running educational programs, like we have our DNB program, a 3M program, or MD equivalent programs running in our institution. We're constantly interacting with our colleagues, constantly interacting with our students. While we think that we are teaching them, they're actually teaching us too. So we're constantly interacting in an academic atmosphere which is high up there. So we get all our knowledge about patient treatment from those sources, from interacting with educated colleagues, whether they are students or fellow colleagues. So we get all the information that we want. Now, what is available in the textbooks, what is available in journals or in the social media may not be available commercially to us.
Correct.
And that's the kind of information we want. I know about this drug. Is it available in India? I know where to use it, so I don't need that information from you. But I know which indication, what drug, is that drug available? Who's making it? What is the commercial name? What is the cost of that? Because like Dr. Malhotra says, you cannot remember 10 trade names of the same drug. You also cannot remember that there is a wide differential in the cost of the drugs. In the same company, maybe sometimes two divisions or between companies, same molecule, so much difference in cost. So you cannot remember all that. So that's the kind of information that we want from them. We don't need them to tell us which drug to use where. We need to tell us about the availability of particular drugs with them. And of course, to an extent, there's a recall value also. So when one person meets you repeatedly with the same trade name, that name sits in your head. We tend to forget a lot of them, but we retain some of them also. Let's not forget that. Let's not deny that. So patient care is affected only to the extent that the pharma tells us that this is available for you. When you want to use it, use it. The pharma doesn't tell us, use it for this indication. Unfortunately, that does happen in certain quarters, but that's not the way it should be.
Perfect. Absolutely phenomenal. Jaideep, ma'am, we understood about, what are these pharma-based, approach gaps or knowledge gaps or really, relationship gaps. But I want a very, clear-cut answer and a very, very, I would say, straightforward answer, ma'am, from you. Is this that being medical fraternity is sitting in tier 1 or tier 2 city, are we doing anything to even narrow this gap? And if at all, what tools we can use to bridge this gap, which has been created because of all these possible reasons? And will it be effective, if at all? As a medical fraternity, what should be our responsibility?
See, I think COVID basically has given us a totally 360-degree turnaround, because now there had been actually flood of webinars and different pharma companies doing webinars on their products, and I mean, it's really been innovative in a way. Yes. And I feel that a lot of my members from our organization said we've never ever studied so much, because the digital media, you're sitting in your own house, you're totally attentive, which in a physical conference most of the times people used to be taking, especially I used to really get irritated taking selfies, and the speaker takes so much time to prepare a talk, and and nobody's listening. So this has been a phenomenal change. And I think digital is the way to go. Very important. And yes, small roundtable discussions like the one which we are having. I have attended, I think, innumerable ones, advisory boards, and this is all relationship building exercises of various companies which they have done. Plus, doing some kind of a survey or a research together. Now, those are the things which in the last 2 years people have experimented. In fact, we've had many discussions on many boards like this. Plus, it has given me also some lot of time to, do the research on the net. And but what there was one point which I wanted to add to Dr. Abraham's this thing is that when the pharma companies come, a lot of times now they've started coming again in the clinic. I all the time keep on telling them that they will introduce a drug, they'll tell you the indications, but they will never ever sort of say whether this is a capsule or it's a liquid or what is the recommended dose. Now I'm talking from the perspective of a practitioner who's sitting in the remote areas. And another very important aspect I want to tell you is that today I feel very challenged. I can't talk to 10, 15, 20 people in a day after a very heavy day. But I'm a third generation obstetrician and gynecologist in my house. I have seen my mother-in-law, father-in-law practicing, very, very popular and very busy practitioners, but they were not into too much of, the digital, though that era was not there, not too much conferencing, very hardcore practitioners. They used to take out time when the medical rep used to come and sit down and chat. And the kind of relationships which they shared with many of these top medical representatives, because they were, prescription writers, and they used this relationship to the maximum. In fact, even today, those medical reps, or they're becoming like, they're regional directors of companies, they come and they remember. Now, again, I think sometimes these also need to be revisited. It's not only the net or Googling, which we will do, or, the digital presence of various companies, but yes, personal relationships do matter.
Yeah, and to continue with what ma'am has rightly pointed out, is this that to bridge this gap, now probably medical companies and even the doctor fraternity, now as she has rightly pointed out, that the faculties are now reaching your bedrooms now. So they are not sparing you there as well. With this digitalization, the education will still continue at nights and whatever the times, and the recorded sessions are also available. So much of ease of knowledge is now available. The only thing is this, that you need to have that smartness, that wisdom of choosing what is right and what is correct for you. But Abram sir, there is a very interesting question that I have in my mind. Even many pharmaceutical companies, they use so many of digital tools. You will remember that nowadays medical reps also come with these iPads, and they'll show you the products and the various animations which are created. So they are also in a way of changing, and they are also looking at the digital tools to reach out doctors in various formats. Is one popular format is this, but there are so many other formats they are trying to use. Probably they are trying to show you or make you member of something, or they'll give you an access to a digital conference which is happening somewhere in US or UK. So my question is this, that what are those tools which probably you feel are really effective and will evolve this challenge of probably again narrowing the knowledge gap? And how about your take on, where will it be really effective to use digital tools in these days, to improve on whatever we probably are trying to do?
Like Dr. Malhotra said, there was a simpler time when we used to have the time, the liberty to spend more time with MRs.
Yes.
There would be only half a dozen of them waiting outside my operating KM, maybe even a dozen. But as you walk along, you could keep talking to them and establish a personal rapport with them. It's ultimately a give and take. Now, each company has 10 of them, and at least 4 of them are dealing with the same product with different brand names or different changes, some changes in the molecule. So you cannot establish a one-on-one relationship with any of them. Okay. Of course, if a one-on-one relationship goes too far, it breaches the gap that should be maintained between the profession and the industry. That's a different story. We're not getting into that at all. So And besides, the fact is that the turnover in the pharma industry is also quite large. Very few of them stay back in the same company over the years. I mean, today they're promoting one molecule, tomorrow they're saying, no, now I've got a new molecule, I'm promoting this. So their loyalty is also to the extent that they have their commercial gains, which is what all of us are looking for. Let's face it. I mean, not sitting on a high horse and saying that I'm noble. No, it's not true at all. So there is no crime happening on each side. But the fact is that we are not able to establish a close relationship. Let's not call it intimate, a close relationship with individuals. So they have to try their best to get across that gap, where they know that they are selling a product because they've been appointed to sell a product. It's not that they have loyalty to a product. Tomorrow they'll tell you that their product in the new company is even better. Okay.
Correct.
So they have to, within those few seconds or minutes available to them, give their best projection of their current product, only so that it will be commercially successful. And there was a time when the electronic media, like you said, they would use their iPads, they would use their laptops, try and impress us and quick animations. But we've gotten over that phase. We've now come to a phase where we want simple and crisp messages. No animation impresses you. No slide transition impresses you. The same information that we used to give in folders and booklets earlier, we used to flip pages and you would read to them, is now coming on electronic media. That's all, nothing more than that. You're getting the same information, so they don't have to put too much into graphics. They don't impress anyone with that. Those days are gone. We've grown out of that very rapidly in the last few years. So if you see even presentations by people in webinars, nobody uses graphics and animations anymore. They want the message to be so simple. Yeah. So they're only changing or evolving with time and using iPads because they can change the graphics there rapidly sitting at home.
Correct.
Not because they think that it is a more impressive way, but it gives them more flexibility. You know, when you had those old folders with them, what the company's artist department gave them is what they had to carry for years. Now they can tell the company to just change some graphics within few minutes or few hours, so they can make it more attractive. But ultimately, what catches your attention for me is only two things. What is the molecule? What is the brand name? What is the cost? And I think that the last part is equally important for us, because suddenly you realize that a brand that you've been prescribing is priced 3 times more than competitive brands. So every medical rep who comes to me, I ask him this, okay, good, I'm glad you told me the brand name. Now tell me the cost is brand. So ultimately it boils down to that. You want to get that much information from them. Although I understand that there may be remote industries or remote areas in the country where people are dependent on more than this to gain information and knowledge, but not in the tier 1, tier 2 cities. No.
Yeah, so perfect. So, ma'am, I'll come to you, and I'll say you see so many representatives. They'll keep on coming with some kind of an information brochure or some kind of a study which is recently published or some book and all that. And overall, there was a survey which was conducted, especially in the tier 3 places and tier 2 places and many of the villages and all that, and where there was some kind of I would say feedback which was received that we don't want a digital connect anymore, or this is not a very happy thing. Now you are in tier 2 city, or probably you have experienced a lot of. We in Mumbai probably we hardly get to see such kind of naive, genuine responses from the peripheries. But you are there in periphery. Do you really feel that is it true that the people still do not enjoy the digital connect and they still enjoy the physical copies or being having a face to face?
I think we need to understand that there are all sorts in any fraternity or in any this things. Now the older school of thought, especially people who are sitting in the remote areas and practicing, it really does become difficult for them now to become digitally savvy. So I feel now the companies need to be innovative. Like if you tell me that, okay, they'll give me enough number of papers. I'm an environmentalist also. I hate when they, bring all those kinds of papers and I have to just throw them and that's something which I absolutely do not appreciate. Now, even when they come with digital stuff, an iPad or something, it doesn't really register. What I have really liked in this thing is that you take a time from a particular set of people or maybe one person, 1-to-1. I mean, this can be done. And once the person is receptive, give the information which they are ready to assimilate. But I write a lot of books, and we've all totally gone versions, even the journals also versions. Still I would get some people responding in the way, oh, where is the journal not coming, I can't really read on this thing. But that number is very less now. Majority of us, whatever age group, have become very digitally savvy in this last 2 years. So we need to reorganize ourselves.
Yeah, probably. So a message to all the pharma friends, those who have joined and seeing us, that okay, there may be few older generation people who would be thinking about it, but really don't take it very hard way. You need to keep on continuing your effort, in improving the awareness and the advantages of
Mangesh,
digitalization.
one more thing.
Yes.
I would
Yes.
say, we have in our medicine individualization.
Correct.
And
So
I
you
think
should-
pharma needs to now do individualization.
You nailed it, ma'am. You hit it on the head straight away. Is this that as we as medical community individualize therapies for our patients, not one size fits all. This is
Yeah.
what exactly you also in the pharma industry have to realize, that which is the doctor probably who would love to have a physical books or journals delivered to him or her, and some of them who would love to have the digital connect or the electronic connect. You need to find them out and then smartly
And
make them or probably provide your help there. Yes, ma'am.
And another very important aspect is, what used to happen. There's so many companies, so they just engage anybody, and everybody can become a medical rep without any knowledge, without any preparation. They are actually, stammering in front of you. They can't even pronounce things properly. I think, I'm feeling bad, but because a lot of people are going to definitely lose their jobs, but we need to engage smart people who are able to use their faculties well, and then are able to sort of build a relationship in different ways with the different practitioners on the same ground.
Yeah, perfect. I have a list of questions, but let us go to audience, and they have started already shooting the questions, and because we may run out of the time, because I have so many of questions. So let us honor our viewers, because viewers are the people those who make us special. So thank you very much for your questions. And this is a question from Ashok from Pune. Is this that our medical reps, and this is for Abram sir, that is our medical reps sending too much of content to the doctors, more access to the technology? What is your take on this?
No question about that. Let me just add another angle to this. I sometimes have sympathy for the medical reps. When I look out the window now, I can see at least 15 of them waiting outside. They've been waiting from morning to evening. They take a break for lunch, maybe, waiting to see which doctor comes out of the hospital at what time, and then run to him and ask for his time. These are all children of parents. These are all parents of children. They're all looking for a livelihood. So you have sympathy for them, and you look at them as your children. That's a sympathy factor, okay? But when it goes beyond that, meaning they ask for your telephone number, I'll just send you an SMS about this, I'll just send you a WhatsApp about this, there I draw the line. I said, no, my telephone number is not meant for that at all. And for that reason alone, I've stopped using WhatsApp, because I don't want to be jumped with a lot of information that I don't want. So somewhere, you're right about that. If they have access to your telephone number, and if they know you have WhatsApp or they have your email, they'll bombard you with information. And that's going to be counterproductive. So often you have to write back to a company saying, please unsubscribe me from this. Or block some number because you're getting too much of it. So yes, there is a tendency. Because those little boys, like Madam said, those little boys and girls are not mature enough to know that, look, the doctor doesn't want to be overloaded with this. They don't know where to draw the line. So technology has made it very easy for them to disseminate 100 messages to 100 people at one time, at one go. So yes, there is overuse of that, no denying.
Absolutely phenomenal. And in fact, that is such a, I would say, pivotal point that you have come out with. That yes, of course, we need to understand that even though the pharmas are full with the information or they want to help, but then remember that excess can also be sometimes decremental, and we need to find out. Again, the same question or the same area where Madam has really beautifully come out. That individualize, understand the doctor's need first, and then probably help him according to his or her needs, rather than globalizing everything, or I would say commonizing the everything. Now, ma'am, there is one more question from Delhi, and this is Ravi Maithyani asking: is this that what mode of knowledge communication do you feel is required from the doctor, from a pharma company, which will make you to register him here and be a part of your happy list?
Yeah, I think it's really very difficult in the sense that, because see, what happens is I'm just looking at from my perspective. Now, a lot of times and you're totally restrained on time, and a lot of times these youngsters come, though I absolutely want to encourage them, but sometimes uh, for me it looks like a sheer waste of time. So what I have actually uh, in the last 2 years really sort of appreciated is that they have come and they've taken my time and they said, okay, ma'am, we want to give you some kind of an information regarding a product, or some XYZ person is going to speak on some topic, which we totally understand that they're promoting a drug behind it. But yes, I have, and they give time frames and day options. And so you could actually, log in the day you register yourself, and you log in the day you are, receptive. Rest of the times, I feel so sad that all these people, young, they're wasting their time outside a doctor's clinic. Half of the time, I sometimes feel they must be really abusing us without understanding our lifestyle, our stresses, which I don't even have the time to convey to them. And to convey to them that, yes, I appreciate their waiting, but then I am also too tired to register now. So I think we need to develop some innovative ways where the numbers have to be restricted and the time frames have to be, the slots need to be more according to our own
Absolutely.
and
So very,
this
very strong
availability.
message for the farmers, those who have joined us. And yes, sir, Abram, sir.
Yeah, just a point, just an addition to what ma'am said, which is so true. When we did have face-to-face meetings in our institution, we had a, what do you call it, an attendance list saying that on this day, I will look at these tenders. So whether they come or not, their turn is there, and we would get to look at them. And that was in our institution on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and we used to see them on Tuesdays. So 10 would come, and their turn would come maybe after 2 months or 3 months. They would complain, but I say, go back and tell your company, you have 10 divisions from your company, and I can't accommodate all of them. But there was a fixed time, and we paid attention to them. Now, Monday to Saturday, they're waiting outside because there's no face-to-face. They're waiting for the doctor to come out and then confront him. So there is no, I mean, it sometimes eats into your patients. Although they're doing their job, sometimes it eats into your patients. And although you have a sympathy factor for them, the fact is sometimes it gets a little too. I wish we could go back to the days of face-to-face where we had a more intimate relationship with them. You talk to them and you spend time with them because you kept aside time for them.
Correct.
That would reduce their face-to-face contact maybe now, because now they're getting more of it, but now they're also stepping onto nerves. And too many of them are coming at the same time.
Yeah. So fine. I mean, in fact, there's a very smart comment by Neha from Mumbai, and she writes down that pharma companies need to find the right balance between the virtual and a face-to-face engagement, while recognizing that more virtual interaction is here to stay. But we need to understand that you need to strike that right kind of a balance. And it's a very nice comment, Neha. We really appreciate that. Now, there's one more question which has come, sir, for you. That if digital way is forward, now this is a question from Ashok. If digital way is forward, then will doctors face any saturation point? Because now people have started talking about it already, and as there is a tsunami of webinars and electronic
Yes.
communications, well,
Yeah.
what is your take on it?
Yeah. The classical example is WhatsApp. WhatsApp was meant to get people together, or Facebook for that matter. You can see that Facebook declared for the first time in 18 years that they've gone into negative growth, because people suddenly realize that you cannot live your life on social media alone. Okay, I'm one of those people who have never gotten to Facebook or WhatsApp for that matter. But yes, electronic media has made this thing too much. So there is an overload. So somewhere you have to have a balance between these two. You cannot, they have to decide where you draw the line, how much of meeting is good enough. And like you said, webinars, seminars, whatever you call them, there's so much of it now because it can be so easily done. You can sit in Agra and talk to the whole world. So then the temptation for everybody to jump onto the same bandwagon. We see these in seminars and we see a parallel in drugs, which is of course not relevant to this. When one company comes with an anti-HCV drug, 15 companies come out with the next year. So they all jumped onto the bandwagon. Suddenly Hep-C is gone and 15 companies are in the dumps. So this Me Too business can get too far in the context of seminars and webinars. There has been an overlook. Like you said, it's a tsunami. So there is a saturation point.
Yes. So we probably need to now have, as we have now need for the knowledge gap, also we need to understand that there has to be some governance on, too many or too much of the same thing again and again. Now, a very nice question, Jaideep ma'am, and has not written the name, the viewer has not written the name, but has continued that physicians or rather doctors highly value webinars, virtual training, speaker programs. But do you really feel that is it going to affect in future the face-to-face conferences or face-to-face interactions or even the telephonic interactions
I see.
with the sales representative? Now, here I am talking about not the medical community, but pharma and doctors. So sales representatives.
I think we need to understand that human interaction is very important for all of us. But we need to really limit it also, because what was really happening, if you read my biodata, I've headed several organizations. Every organization is having 10, 15, 20 webinars, seminars every day, every possible day. It's impossible for me or anybody else to be able to attend. Now, what these virtual conferences have done and I think the most important learning which we have to do is, at that point of time also, I always used to tell that we need to draw a line. There has to be at the organization level a check, a limitation on the kind of number of programs which we should be holding. But the problem is not with the organization only, but the pharma also pushes. If the organization is not doing, then the individuals are doing. Now it doesn't really reach the way you are thinking or I'm thinking that it is reaching. And then the information and the stress on the medical reps is so much, or maybe the zonal or the regional managers is so much, that you need to target so many people. But what are they targeting? That these are like hyped up numbers. So many attended my webinar, but actually what? Somebody just logged in and logged out, and nothing has reached anywhere. So we need to now look at smart, quality ways of interacting, which are very short and sweet, and give the correct, right kind of message at the right time. And that is something which, and of course, with an amalgamation of some physical meetings, but not overdose.
And also this is, let me also utilize this platform to convey, if there are any I would say representatives of the medical councils of the states, that whenever you are approving the accreditation points for such kind of meetings or such kind of webinars, I know this is not a right platform to talk about it, but use your governance there as well very smartly, so that it is very important for all of us that each and every meeting that we conduct gets equal importance. Now, Abram sir, there is a very, I would say, a practical question which has come from Shweta. I appreciate Shweta for your question, and she wants to, bring it to your notice, sir, that how will the hospital doctors get to know more and more about the new launches, the new drugs, the new initiatives, especially when the protocols of the hospital do not allow medical representatives to meet doctors physically? Don't you feel that digital way is the only way, or probably, how best we can match?
So actually, we've gone back to square one. We said right in the beginning that the job of companies is to tell you that I have this brand. And the information you get out of that, or the knowledge you get out of that is, yes, this drug is now available in the market at this cost. Okay. So they told you that brand name, and you now know that this drug is available. And this kind of information cannot be exchanged unless you have some contact with industry. Earlier, it used to be face-to-face or person-to-person. Now it is digital. We've gone back to face-to-face, may not be to the extent that we had earlier. But the problem, like I said, with digital is that it's become too cheap, too common, too base, that one medical rep can send 100 messages in 1 second, which also means that 100 medical reps can send you messages in 1 second. Okay, so somewhere we have to draw the line. Now, the question that everybody will ask is, where is that line? And who decides that line? Doctors are saying they're fed up of facing so many of the medical reps. Industry knows that doctors need them. But still doctors say we don't want too much interaction with them. Okay. Industry, on the other hand, wants more and more meetings. So where do you draw the line? And there, I think we're going back to the one word that was used by Dr. Malhotra, individualization. You have a market research team that says that, look, this doctor should be given only this information. If somebody comes and tells me about an epilepsy drug, for example, it makes no sense to me. How do they know? Because they have categorized that as gastroenterology drugs, something else as internal medicine drugs, whatever that's. In the same way, do your research, sit with your field force and find out which doctor needs what kind of information and just give that. So if there's somebody who's dependent on medical reps for knowledge, give it to him. If somebody just wants a brand name and a cost, give that to him. That's the job of the medical research team. I mean, the market research team.
Market research team, yes. Okay.
I
Yes,
have
ma'am.
a point to add here,
Yes.
Mangesh. You know what happens sometimes, like I'm an infertility specialist. So now this exercise, some companies do. So they will only come and sort of, give me information about the infertility drugs. Now, it's not that I'm using them all the time, but I also use the other drugs. And these companies have divisions like a gastro division, or, there are times when patient might have some problems. And then I'm wondering, so I feel when they are sort of, talking with you, they should actually tell us that, okay, we have other divisions also. Doctor, do you really need some information on some other products which we have? That's it. If I need, I will ask them. And if I don't, I'll say, okay, you can send me some more information. Second important thing, I think necessity is the mother of all kinds of innovations. Like I developed an app long time. It's a software hospital. I'm sure a lot of hospitals have, where if you need XYZ drug, then the generic and the brand names all appear along with the costs. So you use whatever you want to use. And their hospitals, I feel sometimes it could be a red tapeism from the hospitals, like the companies who give them good rates might only appear on the software, which is going to be a problem. But then I think they need to sort of, find their ways out and be more.
I think, this is possibly, I'll also fairly friends, I don't know how almost 45, 50, 55 minutes have passed. So I'm coming to the end of the topic. I had almost.
Mangesh, just one more point. I'm sorry to break your stream of thoughts.
No
But
problem.
like ma'am mentioned, yes. Now you don't even have to go to the hospital inventory or to the hospital pharmacy to know or to answer Shweta's question. You put a drug's name onto the net, Google, okay? And there are hits. I mean, there are sites that are popular. The hits, I don't want to mention them by name, but there are so many sites that tell you all the brands and all the costs of them. So if you want to know a drug is available or not, you just go on Google and you get 10 brand names and 10 costs. Yeah. And you can decide what you want. In fact, I tell my patients, look, I've written a brand. You're not obliged to take that brand. Go on the net, find out which brands are available, find out if one is substantially lower in cost. Ask me whether this company is known to you. And I'll say yes or no, and that's it, you go ahead. Why? Because we know that anything that can be duplicated in India will be duplicated. It doesn't happen in big cities, but it happens elsewhere.
Absolutely.
So please come back and ask me, do you know this company? Have you heard of them? That much information I will give you. The choice of brands is yours. So it's available. One click and you get that information on the net as well. Which brands? This is probably in response to Shweta's question. How do I know which brand is available?
Perfect. So I completely agree with what you are saying. No. On the contrary, it's perfectly fine. And ma'am, I'll end up again. I started with you. I'll end up this session with you here. It's like a very interesting question which has come from Samir, Ludhiana. Thank you, Samir, for that question. And you said initially in your first few words only that what impresses you, when you are with the medical representative. So he's asking, how important is medical representative training according to you? Do you really find any difference between the education of the early medical representatives, maybe probably from your father-in-law's or mother-in-law's time, or the current ones? Do you find that there is any gap?
Huge difference, I would say. Absolutely huge difference, because I mean, I am into practice for more than 40 years now, and I have been part and parcel of that era also. So today I feel like, somebody, even I would say it has nothing to be blamed, because our education levels and our education standard has also gone down. People come with certificates and degrees. They're far away from education, and that is something which is has been a general degradation in the system itself. But a company is recruiting somebody, and once a company is recruiting somebody, I think they should have their parameters in place, and plus a proper training should be there in place, because I have seen so many times, the regional manager or a zonal manager coming with a new recruit, and both of them can't talk properly. So what kind of a training is going to be? And it's like a sheer waste of time for me.
Yeah, so the most important thing is this, that apart from the knowledge of the pharmacology, probably the medical representatives also should have some training as far as the mannerism in the clinic, and probably the way they talk to the doctors also, it's extremely important. And of course,
I'll give you one example here, Mangesh. Sorry.
yes,
I really want to relate this, because, sometimes it hurts also. One day, like long time back, this is one person comes into my clinic and says, "Ma'am, you seem to be very busy. It took me 9 months to, enter your
yes,
clinic." And I was
yes,
absolutely taken aback, because I was
yes,
absolutely not even aware that this fellow has been trying to do, or it's just a one passing comment. But it hit me here.
yeah,
Second time it happened. Now, these are two incidents which
you're not able to
this
forget.
fellow comes in, and then he says that, "Okay, your next door doctor ordered so many ampules of this XYZ injection. What are you trying to tell me?" Now, this is part of training, because they have made sure that I will not write any of those. Now,
Yes,
that is something I think we need to, the soft skills are very, very important, and they need to be educated.
phenomenal. In fact, ma'am, it can go hours and hours. In fact, I was just wondering, when we started this entire webinar, I thought that how I'm going to speak to these geniuses for 1 hour, and I was sweating inside. But you made my life. You two geniuses, gentle giants. You guys have made our day.
Yes.
Especially there was so
Mangesh,
much
when
of
you walk
learning
into
from you.
when you walk
Yes,
into
sir.
a store,
Yes.
you see the kind of training these guys have. I'm not talking about pharmacies alone. It may be a cloth shop that you go to. There are a million pieces all over that place on the walls. But you say that I want the shade of pink, and they can get it for you. That man knows where it is. Okay.
Yes.
So they have trained in great detail their person on the counter. This medical rep is also the person on the counter. He should have information that's readily available with him, not yesterday dealing with esomeprazole, tomorrow dealing with ofacipine. No. He should know the full knowledge of the molecule he is promoting, and should be able to answer questions from anybody who wants an answer from him. If I want to know only the cost, that's a different story. Tell me the cost. Somebody else may be wanting to know, is there any side effects? Have you seen any adverse event? You should be able to answer that too.
Yes.
So training is extremely important.
Yes.
I
Yes,
think the last one I would like to say is that good training and time management, very important. The right kind of advice, which should be, they should be trained to, give the right kind of information, which is again very, very important. And I feel that we need lesser of these medical reps, and have a proper time management schedule. So the management end at the company has to do this homework and get it right. And I think all of us are going to be winners in this.
Yes.
And we have a huge workforce waiting to be employed in this country.
I know that's exactly the only thought which is behind me, which I'm feeling bad about. Yes.
In fact, remember that.
But then we can have a lot of people into managing back end, which they can be utilized.
Most important take from most important take from our discussion for the pharmaceutical companies is this, that as you invest on the doctors, also invest in training your people properly.
Yes.
It should be an indirect way of probably, securing doctor being your permanent customer. So as we understand, as the basics of marketing of anything is that understand your customer well and deliver what he or she wants is one of the standard of medical I would say not only medical but overall marketing is concerned. We have got questions from Venkatesh, thank you for those nice comments. Then Shivram from Bangalore also has brought out few new points. Then Sunny from Jaipur has also asked some questions. Rahul from Nashik has asked questions. Even Pooja, I appreciate, from Hurley, she's asking the question. But please excuse us because of the want of time, and most of these two people are willing to give us more information. What we'll do probably is that we'll request Dr. Sudha and the entire GAPSULE team to you know actually take up your questions and send mails to all of us, and we'll try to send the mails back to you on your questions and how to go about it. But I really appreciate the audience participation. The time really has flown, and I did not realize how beautiful it was for me, as well as pharma people, those who have joined this meeting, understand that we are medical people. We understand your woes, we understand your worries, but at the same time, we would also expect you to understand what currently the medical fraternities are undergoing a challenge. We also understand that there are different methods which will work for tier 1 cities like Mumbai, and then at the periphery where probably one company representative is probably, or one doctor who practices medicine, surgery, gynecology, ENT, everything, where probably one medical representative who hardly is able to visit them once in a month or once in a 2 months becomes the only source of information. So my suggestion to you all is that I would say as you assess your doctors, assess your area of work, assess your reach, assess your workforce, and then probably try and implement the policies according to that. I thank you very much for this beautiful opportunity for me, and of course, I put my all hats off to Dr. Jaideep ma'am and of course Dr. Philip sir. It's been
Thank
both
you.
have been
Thank you.
gentle
It was
geniuses.
wonderful.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
and I hand it over
Wonderfully
back
done,
to Dr.
Dr.
Sudha.
Tiwaskar.
Thank you very much for this opportunity, and hand it over to Dr. Sudha for the final comments.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. And sir rightly said that we did not realize when 1 hour just passed off, listening to all these giant giants, gentle giants. I should say gentle knowledge giants. So I would just like to conclude the session, and would like to just remember one thought, that it's not where you are in life, it's who you have by your side that matters. And that's why I'm highly obliged that doctors like these respected doctors we have with us today, and I'm really grateful to them. And DocMod has always been and will always be for the doctors, by the doctors, and to the doctors. And also, we are very glad and express a sincere thanks to all the respected, reputed doctors on behalf of DocMod, as well as the audience, for their brightening and enlightening discussion on this relevant and, in fact, rarely discussed topics. But it is a topic of great concern, especially during these times. Also, I'm very sure that this has served the purpose and helped to bridge the gap, which was the entire purpose of this session. So, thank you, doctors. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mangesh, sir, for this session moderation. And have a great weekend and safe year ahead. And also would like to thank the great audience for being patient and taking us through this discussion with your fantastic questions. Take care
Thank you
and
very much,
stay
Dr.
safe.
Sudha. Thank you very much. Thank you,
Thank
Paul,
you.
and thank you, Hans.
Thank you,
You
sir.
are in the
Thank you,
bio.
doctors.
Thank you very
Great
much.
pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Take
you,
care
sir.
of yourself.
Thank you so
Bye.
much.
Bye, Jaideep ma'am. Bye, Abram sir. Bye bye.
Thank you,
Take
ma'am.
care of yourself.
Bye.